I think sorry to interrupt you. You and I have been in the position where it wasn't the easiest road to get to the point where we can be at home, spending time with our kids while generating a substantial income, and then, not just maintaining your standard of living, but actually improving your quality of life. And we could save people a lot of the heartaches and headaches and speed bumps we went through. Um, and what a privilege it is for us to be in a position where we can teach someone this lifetime skill set, where never again they have to be scared of a lockdown. Never again do they have to fear some disease or anything that comes into your life. You always have trading. As long as you've got an internet connection, there's always a way out. Doesn't matter how much debt you're in, how many people you owe money, how many banks are knocking on your door, and that way is trading. And we can show people that are willing to take the time to build the skills will reap the rewards in the long run. Like, we know this isn't a quick fix, but we can speed up the process and help you along the way.
I love it. That's the thing. That's the
The
thing.
banks and hedge funds also go on holiday. That's what we need to remember.
That's it, bro. And I think if we had to reflect back on the last posts that we made on the channel and the, let's say, key levels we looked at, we may have seen some wonderful reactions off those levels, but we didn't get the reactions we expected. But I think it's a given. It was the end of the fiscal
Mm.
year, prices ranging. There was low volume, and I'm excited for the start of the year. What I'm thinking is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to just basically wrap up where we left off last year, and then an update on my thinking. I'm going to touch on US30 because that is my favorite pair. But I think, while we're at it, we can look at NASDAQ, gold. We can look at some of the fundamentals. I saw some crazy stuff happening. I saw stimulus bills that Biden had just signed as
In the
well.
trillions.
In the trillions. I think it was $1.63 trillion in stimulus.
This is Biden.
Fugazi.
Just printing like it's his job. What
I
do you
mean,
do as the president of the USA? I print money and I hand it out.
what blows my mind is post-COVID, the US have printed more money, Fugazi, more dollar bills than they've ever printed in the history of the United States.
Mm,
How many billions in student debt did Biden write off?
mm,
And it's
mm.
not just, we've spoken about this. It's not just like you write it off. The consumer's going to pay. You have to pay it back.
There's a ripple effect,
There's
and we
ripple
can
effect
see it now with the inflation.
with
It's
inflation.
it's it's happening.
Correct. So let's have a look. I'm going to share my screen quickly, and we jump on a chart quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up Telegram quickly. So I want to just jump one of the posts I was looking at, which was quite interesting. So we actually have a member that made some good money on this move. But if you remember, on the 19th of December, we posted, you and I looked actually way before. If you look at, our last YouTube video analysis that we posted, we had identified this was a weekly supply area. So yes, this is a daily chart. This was posted on the 19th of December. But on the weekly chart, this is one big wick. We were monitoring
Yeah.
price action around this area. It was at that point that some of the members on the channel, I think it was like Brahm and Gavin and them, we were speaking about weak and strong swing points, like when the market makes a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. And then here's a classic example where this would be a weak swing high. So this lower high was liquidated only to tap into this area and make a new low. And on the bigger spectrum, this still created a lower high. And basically, we had identified that this area had done the same thing. So like price liquidated this weak swing high over here, same thing happened over here. So on a bigger spectrum, we saw price creating a lower high than this high and this high. What we were doing
Still
was
respecting that weekly supply.
correct. So when we saw a break below, we saw a nice shift in price action. We were waiting patiently for price in this area of 33,475. And if I'm not mistaken, it took about 3 days or so for price to actually come into this area, and we were monitoring price action. If I remember correctly, price didn't actually enter 33,475. I know we were monitoring price action between 33,450 and 33,500. And I think the high that was made was 33,460 before we saw an absolute melt. And we saw some people making salaries, off of this move. We did then, and I'm just going to go back here quickly. So if I go to go on the replay bar over here, so we basically had identified this area over here, if you remember correctly, and obviously we've got a low over here. And what we saw is that price failed to take this low out for, if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days after the 22nd. Now, yes, this is leading up to Christmas. Look how it skips 23rd to 27th. There's lack of volume. There's low liquidity. It is the end of the fiscal year. We can expect price to range. So we saw a beautiful reaction of about 8.5, 9,000 pips, which people capitalized off of, including, you and I.
You.
And it was nice. But
It was.
But the thing is, we felt to take this low, and as we started to range, my perspective started to change slightly. And even now today, with it being the first trading day of the year, there's a lot going on. So where I'm thinking is that, I want to just quickly draw your attention to the weekly, and you and I spoke about this briefly earlier. I know you and I, given the economic outlook and, with what's to come, I mean, even Bloomberg is not blunt. They're quite out there about, by the second quarter of 2023, 2/3 of the global economy is going to be in recession. If you look at the stimulus that's being pumped, so totally on the fundamental front, we can see the technicals backing up, and I know we're quite bearish. However, given the start of the new fiscal year and potential creation of weekly highs, we were looking for price to push up a little bit higher. So we were looking at 33,800 as first targets, but ultimately even as high as 35,000, before coming down. And the reason I was looking at 35,000, if you go onto a weekly chart, you can see that if we just bear with me here. So we've got our high here, right? We've got a low, we've got a lower high, we've got a lower low. Oh, sorry, my mouse is giving me issues. We've got a lower high, and then what happened is we had a liquidation. So let's say this was a weak swing high, and there's our weekly supply area, just to create a lower low and potentially move further to the downside.
Down from there, yeah.
Okay. Now, yes, you can bring a lot of retail methods in to, get some sort of targets. But why I am looking at 35,000 before going even lower, or why I was, and today will say a lot, but bear with me. Look what I'm looking at over here. I want to draw your attention to this area here, so the 28th of March. Look, when price tapped into this weekly supply area, we saw a wonderful reaction on a weekly time frame. You see that, right?
Yeah.
For 1, 2, 3 weeks, we were bearish. On the 4th week, we came and we liquidated that high, still within the supply, to push lower. You got that?
Just liquidated everything above that little wick that was previously created.
literally,
and then melted.
literally. So take this scenario here,
Beautiful. Eh?
okay? Take that scenario over there, and now look at it over here. So if we've got our weekly supply area, which we tapped into, we've got our area, which we mitigated 50%, okay? And on
Mm.
our previous videos that we've posted on the channel, we discussed this. We waited for this to happen. We saw a beautiful reaction in that area, just like we had analyzed. There's major inefficiencies over here that's left behind. Yes, she can drop and she can collect these inefficiencies when we bullish again. However, look at that, how she liquidated that swing point. So
High probability of just,
uh,
yes, you just drew it to perfection right
I'm
there. Are you an artist or a trader?
I'm looking for the same thing. Okay, I say that that's going to happen, but that is a probability. Okay,
High probability.
there's a high probability that could happen. Yes, I mean if you look over here, there's areas where she didn't come and liquidate it, but especially after you know the end of the year, major ranging, even the mere fact that if you had to go onto a higher time frame and we had to look at, let's say, a 12-month chart. No, TradingView's not giving me data, but that's fine. There's a good chance that we could expect something like that to happen. Now, I'm just going to go down to a lower time frame quickly. I'm going to go to a 4-hour, which is actually still a high time frame. This was the area that we were waiting for price to react off of. So I'm just going to move our screen here. So if you remember, we were looking at 33475 as posted on
So,
the channel, and we were looking at price in this area. Now she didn't hit 33475. I think she went to 33460 or so over there, and we had, if we draw on the bodies, we've developed a bit of a range over there, which we were stuck in for 2 weeks, give or take.
mm,
Going back to the first trading day of 2023, so you'll see before New Year's, market closed, there was a bit of an obvious bit of trend line liquidity. The market closed over here on Friday the 30th of December, and then obviously we had a public holiday with New Year's and all of that. Market gap this morning to the upside, came and filled the gap, tapped into demand, or the retest of a trend line if you are
beautiful.
trading retail, and we saw a wonderful almost 5,000 pip move to the upside. But what happened is, look, we actually ended up tapping 33,475, which wasn't previously tapped. So it was basically an absorption of this entire range on a higher time frame, only to come down. We are now in an area, if I had to just clear my chart, where we're not too sure what price is going to do. If we're looking at smart money and we are trading, let's say, breaker structures, we are in an area right now, a key level over here, demand, we don't know how price is going to react over here, so if we had to go to a bit of a lower time frame and we had to look in here to see what price is doing, we can see she's pretty much Asian range. She gapped, she came down, London pushed up, NYSE today took out the whole of London's gains and some. Going back to the 4-hour, so what I think we could potentially see is either price is not going to care for this area until we bullish again, and we are going to take this range out and continue going down, or we're going to see the same thing where she takes this low out, only to tap into areas over here potentially, come up, tap supply, or absorb, so take 35,000 to then come down. So there's a lot of possibilities. We've got possibilities, we've got probabilities. Before today, my probability was that she was going to take this range out to push to the upside. But given the fact that she's now absorbed this and she's come down quite aggressively, on the 4 hour, she doesn't really look that aggressive. But if you know what I mean, we had an
Yeah,
area.
no, it was. I
Yeah,
mean,
we had an area
the
where we've
way
got.
the order flow shifted from that strong bullish pre-NY push that we caught to just collapsing through New York, taking out all those gains from the whole day, pretty much. It is something to take note of, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, check at these equal lows here. I am going to
Yes,
just do this.
begging to be taken out.
Check that.
And you know, you always like saying that it's not always where price is moving point wise, also how she's approaching and reacting at those price points. You know,
Yep.
how fast is she moving bearish? How fast is she going bullish? And this is right in front of us. And what's exciting me, sorry to interrupt you, is that whether we get scenario A or B, we're going to catch the move.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
That's the thing, and the nature of US, indexes is that she's got an ADR, or an average daily range, of 6 to 8, sometimes 10,000 pips. So even if you miss out on the
Mm,
first 3-4,000, you've got 4,000 other pips to catch and capitalize on. And with a 0.01, you're looking at 6-7,000 rand. You know, um,
mm.
you know, flip, man. There's
And
just so
that's
much
just the average
potential,
day for her. Add
literally.
add a news event in there, add a news event in, and it's double.
That's the thing. So, what I think we could actually see as well. So we've got a beautiful untapped demand area over here, as you can see. It is right below this triple bottom, which screams liquidity to me, and it's also a major inducement for the upside. So people that, let's say, were buying the break and retest of this trend line, retail traders who didn't take profit, obviously stopped out now.
Hmm.
We could see a break to the downside over here. We're gonna get people selling off the retest, so support turning resistance. So people selling over here, retail traders, only to come and tap into demand, go up, take them out again, go and fetch the imbalance. I mean, if you look on the daily chart, you will see we have got, if you had to look between, let's say, that week there and today's week, we have got inefficiency all in this area. We've got untapped supply, and then obviously, given our perspective on the weekly and what we spoke about over there, that's also a possibility.
35 also on the
Yeah.
cards.
So,
Yeah.
so then we have potential cleaning this range to the upside before coming down. So there's a lot that can happen. This is quite a beautiful bearish engulfing candle that I'm seeing over here. So all dependent on that. Um, Once she takes out those lows, obviously it all comes down to monitoring price action. And again, one of the things that always stand out to me is this. So if you look at how corrective returns versus reversal patterns. So how
Mm.
aggressive is price when she's approaching your key levels? That will tell you a lot.
This is gold, eh? This is exactly what I mentioned earlier. And you taught me this, you know. This is brilliant.
Well, we've seen it all over the place, and it's something that I tend to forget all the time. So I love to remind myself, um, of this. So
Mm,
yeah, that's my thoughts on US30. At the end of the day, I am bearish, bearish. We're gonna see 30,000. I am bearish, but at the same time, you can be bearish and you can still buy because you've got intraday perspective. You know where price,
exactly.
uh, you've got key levels to work with, and yeah, I'm excited for CPI, NFP. We've got some secret spice that we're gonna add in, and yeah, we'll see if we've got some new faces this month. I know in some previous months we've had some people make, you know, 5, 6 figures. So it's exciting. I'm excited to have new people on board, um, see what we can do.
Before we learned smart money and before we learned risk management and money management, emotional management, just it took a lot it takes a lot to become a professional trader. And most people think it's easy. But as soon as you realize like you can choose like you specialized in US30 and it's been paying the bills and some. You can the crumbs that the financial global market leaves, the crumbs that it leaves on the floor is enough to make you and your future generations extremely wealthy. It's not like you have to become the best doctor in the country or you have to be the number one engineer in the world to become wealthy. Not well off, wealthy. The crumbs that we pick up on from day to day is enough.
We're
It's
literally
enough.
financial hobos. We dig in dustbins and we eat the
I
leftovers.
love it. Picking up the crumbs of the hedge funds.
Yeah, straight
And I
up.
mean, if we can teach people how to collect their own crumbs and build their own skill set, and it's a lifetime skill set, nobody's going to take that away for you, no matter how old, how rich, poor, you know, if you're a girl or a boy or you're not sure, you can be a trader. You know,
Yeah, no, straight up.
it's the market's there for everyone, and I think that's great.